Hi friends, welcome to Painting for Wellness. I'm Bethany Bennett. Today we are going to take a mental and visual trip to Venice, Italy. I chose Venice because I actually visited there in 2018 and the light is so spectacular there. I love studying art history, and one of my favorite Renaissance painters, Titian, his paintings are most especially known for their light because they were painted in Venice. So we're all going to go on a little vacation because we all need a trip. So what we're going to do is realize that we don't have to be an artist to join in. First of all, this is just going to be fun and relaxing. You can pick whatever color palette you choose, but what I've chosen will be listed, and I'm just using a very small canvas and 2 or 3 paintbrushes. What I've done to start this project off is create a simple grid. So just intersecting lines, vertical and horizontal, on the canvas and on the reference picture. So this is just a reference picture, it's just our guide. We're not going to let it intimidate us, and you guys have as many artistic liberties as you want. You can choose whatever colors you want, and you can change whatever you want. This is just to have fun. So once you grid your canvas and your reference paper, you can go back in with a pencil and you can start blocking in the shapes very gently with a sketch. That way, if you want to change it, it's very easy to erase. So, as you can see, I've lightly sketched the main shapes in this composition. And I've got my color palette right here, and we're going to start off with 0 expectations. We're going to confidently go in and just start putting down colors, and we're not going to worry about the final product, okay? And although my color palette looks like this now, it will not look like this very soon because I like to mix a lot of my colors. So these buildings are very old, and the architecture is what's so amazing about Venice, as well as the canals and how people enter and exit their houses. So these little boats along here, these are actually entranceways into people's homes. So I'm going to start with blocking in the sky. And you guys can follow along with me, or you can start blocking in your own shapes. It's up to you. We're going to keep this simple and fun. And the cool thing about acrylics is you can always go back and make changes. So the sky gets a little bit lighter as you go down. Notice this is a very light blue, and then it's a darker blue up here. And I'm just going to add a little bit of white. And you can keep it as loose as you want. This is not going to be photorealism or photographic. This is just for fun. So that was easy. That was our sky, easy peasy. Now we're just going to go in and start putting in some colors for the water. And it's so interesting here. In Venice, the colors that come off the water are teals and greens and different blues. And you can actually pop in whatever colors you want. But I like this nice blue line right down there, reflecting the sky. almost meets the horizon line. The imaginary horizon line is right around there. So I'm going to take some yellow and mix it in with my blue so I get a nice teal color. So I've had a pretty stressful week, and I needed to come in and do some painting just so that I could personally relax. And that's why I love to paint. It's because it just calms me down. And I hope it does the same for you. Also with acrylics, or any type of paint really, you can paint in layers. So you don't have to worry about what the first layer of your painting looks like. You can always go back in and make changes. And this is one of those scenes where you could go into great detail and get really carried away with the architecture and the different porticos and windows and everything that they have that you see here. But we're just going to keep it simple. If you guys decide to go into great detail with this painting, that's totally up to you. I'm not going for accuracy. I'm just going for something that's aesthetically pleasing to me. And I want you guys to do the same. That's why I want you to choose your favorite colors and make the buildings whatever colors you are in tune with, or whatever colors strike you. So this is kind of like an old brick building over here. We can put some oranges. One thing I really like about this scene and this composition is that you really get to study one-point perspective. Everything is going towards this one point back at the horizon line. And I have a ruler over here if I really want to make straight lines, but I'm not too focused on that right now. I love all the different colors that are coming out of just this yellow and this white an orange and a little bit of that raw umber. And you can go ahead and put in, the little dark areas for the windows now, or you can wait until you get the whole part of the building blocked in with color. That's totally up to you. There's many ways to work. And that's the beauty of working from home, is that no one's there to judge you. And if we're not judging ourselves, then we're really going to have a good time. And there's so many different ways that you can apply paint and add different textures. You can really just experiment with it and have fun. So once I get over there, I'll start using my smaller brush so that I can get into some more detail. See how I make my own colors by just mixing a bunch of them together. And that's part of my experimentation too. So. So there's these little ledges right here. I don't know if you can see them. There will be a link to this reference picture below the video. That way you get to see exactly what we're painting and you have your own reference picture. All right, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna start popping in some windows here and there, okay? And a palette knife works really well for this too. I'm gonna switch over to my smaller brush. So, you get to choose how many windows, how many doors, how much stuff you want to include on these buildings and this architecture. and how much detail. That's totally up to you. And this is one of those paintings where you could work on for 5 hours if you really wanted to get into detail. Or you can just stop in 30 minutes and then come back to it later when you need to take another break or get some relaxation. Another reason why I personally love Venice is because of the fact that there's no roads there. You can't drive, there's no cars. Everything there has been brought in by barge or boat, which is amazing. And, you know, all the retail stores and all the restaurants, everything has been brought, supplies, by boat. And then everybody has a dolly and they're just dollying stuff up and down these stairs. It's pretty amazing that they do that. And that this amazing architecture was built that way too. Let's see, I'll put another window right here. And we're gonna make the windows get smaller as they recede into the background. So another cool thing about this reference picture is the shadows from the building going onto the water. And that's why you have these darker teals here. And we can pop in as many boats as we want to. If you wanted to put in 5 boats lined up right here, you could do that. There really are a ton of windows. So feel free to add or eliminate as many as you want. I'm also interested to see what colors you guys choose. This mauve right here is very pretty. And shutters are difficult to paint, so you don't have to include those. You can keep those out. Just gonna do windows. So another thing you can do while you're painting is kind of focus on your breath and really create awareness of the moment. And not only does that help you focus on what you're doing, but it also helps you enjoy it more. I'm curious to know if any of you guys have ever been to Venice, because I highly recommend it. And I think it gives you a better sense of the area and the light like I was talking about. And if not, maybe now you want to go. All right, now I'm gonna switch over to my teensy tiny brush and try to get some of those little small, tiny windows that are over here. I think the more the merrier. And if you wanted to get real excited about this, you could just start popping in little dots, or you could use a palette knife and you could just boop, pop in little windows, real tiny like that. There's no method. You can do it any way you want. And I also really love the little trees hanging outside too. That's so pretty. So I do like these lines, and I do want to make them pop out a little bit more. So what I like to do is just use a ruler that you don't mind getting paint on, and just doing a nice subtle little line as like a separation between the different buildings. And there's little chimneys up here. You can pop those in. And what I'm going to do is go back in with my big brush again and emphasize the sky and the water. And you don't have to do this. If you're done, then you can just focus on the windows or the architecture, but it's totally up to you. If you get a little pink in the sky, that's fine too. So something that's really fun to do as an alternative to just a blank white canvas is to put an underpainting. So maybe say I covered the whole canvas in a light blue just to start off. You can do that too. And then you can do your grid and your sketch on top of that. But then you have a base layer that really just, it allows the canvas to have no white that shines through, which makes it look like a more complete painting. And I still have zero expectations of what this is going to turn out as. But I'm just loving the process. And I'm loving being here with you guys. So let's see how many more windows we can put in here. They're not going to be perfectly shaped windows, that's for sure. If you want to get real wild, you can go ahead and take tape out, and you can use painter's tape to make your perfect lines and stuff like that. It's not necessary for today, though. And I'm just putting in a couple vertical lines so that it kind of distinguishes between the different buildings. Gives it a little bit of depth. I really like these columns too. I might go back in and pop some of those in. And then this brick could be really cool. You could go in with browns or reds and paint separate bricks if you wanted to, or use a sponge, a palette knife. I've seen people use very different tools and just, objects from around their house to add texture or an element of design to their painting. So that's the fun part, is experimenting and seeing what you can do with different things. And once that water dries, I'm going to go back in and pop some little boats in there. Oh, there's a great amount of detail in this photograph. So that's why I said in the beginning, don't get intimidated by it, because this is just a guide to show us a beautiful place and take us on a mental journey far out of our homes. And so some of the building looks like it's kind of worn away, and you can do that with the first layer of paint, but you can also go back in and like add a lighter tone of the color that you were using, or use a completely different color, like maybe it's rusted, or you can use your imagination and just kind of pop in different shades of color. So it's all just for fun. That's why we're here, and I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. So, no rush. I'm not done. You may not be done, and that's perfectly fine. You can work on this for as long as you want, as long as you're relaxing and having a good time. So thank you for joining us on our wellness journey today, and I hope to see you next time.